Welcome to the Angular Progress Button tutorial. The Syncfusion Angular Progress Button is a graphical user interface used to visualize the progression of an operation in the background. Look at this download button. The progress is shown, which lets you estimate how long the completion of the action will take. In this video, I will show you how to create an Angular app and add the Angular Progress Button component with built-in features to customize the icon and spinner positions. I will also show you how to animate the button text and spinner. I will start with the application creation process. I'm going to create an Angular application using the Angular CLI tool. Make sure you have installed the latest version of Node.js. First, open Visual Studio Code and install the Angular CLI using the npm install-g at angular/CLI command. As I have already installed it, I am skipping this step here. Next, I will create a new Angular project, so I use the ng new project name command and name my project example. I am creating a project with the option to add a CSS style sheet, so I choose the CSS option. The project creation has started, and it is creating an Angular project with its dependencies. Now let me navigate to the project folder. To add the Syncfusion Angular Progress Button component, install the Syncfusion Angular Split Buttons package using the npm install at syncfusion/ej2 Angular Split Buttons --save command. This will install the package with its dependencies. The application is now ready to use. Before using Syncfusion components, it is mandatory to register the trial license key. I open the main.ts file and import the register license method from the Syncfusion ej2 base package. Using this method, I register the trial license key. To generate this license key, refer to the link in the description below. First, I need to import the Progress Button module. Navigate to the app component TS file and import the Progress Button module from the Syncfusion ej2 Angular Split Buttons package. Then register it within the imports array of the component section. Next, move to the app component HTML file and remove its default content. Then add the progress button by adding the button tag with the EJS progress button attribute. And set the text of the progress button to download. Next, to reference the CSS styles to the button, navigate to the style.css file and import the material theme. I have also imported the dependent CSS references like buttons and pop-ups. I save the changes and run the application using the ng-serve command. The progress button is rendered with the provided text, and when I click the button, the spinner is shown. Next, to change the button type to primary, I set the isPrimary property to true. You can see the primary progress button type with a red background. By default, the spinner is positioned to the left of the progress button. You can position it to the text contents left, right, top, bottom, or center. To change the spinner position, use the position property of the spin settings modi class. Within the app component TS file, I import the spin settings modi class from the Angular Split Buttons package. Then, define the variable spin settings of type spin settings model. And set the position property to the right. I also set a custom width to the spinner using the width property. I then assign this object to the spin settings property of the progress button. When I click the progress button, the spinner is positioned to the right of the text with custom width. Next, I will show you how to set custom styles for the spinner using the template property. Within the spin settings object, define the template property and add a division element with the template class. Next, move to the style.css file and define a few CSS styles for this template class and add an animation effect using the keyframes rule. See now, when I click the progress button, the spinner is shown with animation. Next, I will show you how to apply animation to the progress button content. The Angular Progress Button supports 7 different animation effects: slide left, slide right, slide up, and so on. To slide the button content up, when the button is clicked, I first import the animation settings model class. Then define the animation settings object. And within it, set the effect property to slide up. Also, I set the duration and easing properties with appropriate values. I then assign this object to the animation settings property of the progress button. Look at the progress button now, the content moves upward. Next, I will show you how to set an icon to this download button. I define the icon CSS property and assign the class names eButton SB icon and eDownload icon. Within this style section, define a font face with a specific source path and name to start accessing the download icon at the application level. Then, for this class name, I assign the appropriate content value to access the download icon. See the progress button now displayed with the download icon. By default, the icon is positioned on the left side of the button. To customize the icon position, use the icon position property. I want to place the icon on the right, so set the icon position property to right. See now, the icon is on the right. Finally, I will show you how to change the button content during progress. I want to retain the content, icon, and icon position properties and remove all other properties from the progress button code for clarity. I want to show the download progress. I will hide the spinner by setting this a hide spinner class to the CSS class property. Then, enable the enable progress property to show the progress. Next, to change the button content during progress, I use progress button events. First, I add the begin event with the appropriate event handler. Also, include an ID named progress button to identify the button instance in the begin event handler. Next, navigate to the app component TS file and import the view child decorator. Then import the progress button and progress event args from the Syncfusion Angular split buttons. Using the view child decorator, I get the reference to the progress button element. Next, define a local variable called progress button of the type progress button. I define the event handler begin, which receives the argument of type progress event args. As I said, I want to change the button text during progress, so within this begin method, I set the content property to downloading. When I click the progress button, the text changes to downloading. To change the button text back to download after the progress completion, I can use the end event. I define the event handler end, which receives the argument of type progress event args, and set the button content to download. I add the end event here with the appropriate event handler. Look at the progress button now. When I click the button after completion, the text again changes to download. In this video, I showed you how to create an Angular application and add the Syncfusion Angular Progress Button component. You saw how to set icons in different spinner positions, animate the button text. Finally, you saw how to add events to the Progress Button component. If you want to see a working example, you can download it from the GitHub link in the description below. I have also provided a link to know if you qualify for a free license key to use our Angular products through our community license. If you found this video useful, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching.